Hello Desert Bearhawk fans, we're in the shop tonight. It's late, as you can see, maybe if you can focus, 11:45 at night. Got the door open so it's not too bad out as far as cold goes, not bad for March 9th. And a progress report for you. So as you can see here, the right wing is out of the fixture. It is no longer in this fixture with its brother, the left wing, and it is now on the moat, the mother of all tables, and final assembly is taking place. And as with everything on this project, my estimates of time have been greatly underestimated. I was really hoping to have this wing out and gone, and this one to have sheeting going on it by now, but as it is with scratch building, every day is a challenge, and today was no different. But we have made some pretty significant progress. You can see that we're fully sheeted now, and we're just about ready to go out the door. I haven't decided what I'm going to do on wingtips yet, so I'm going to noodle on that a little longer. And I think this wing's going to go into the storage area without a wingtip for now. And when I complete the other wing, then I'll have it sitting on the moat, and I will probably start my attempt at creating a couple of Horner wingtips, and we'll see how that works out. Tell you, I'm going to do foam. I'm going to do foam construction with fiberglass for the wingtip, but you know, I can't help but think back to my model airplane building skills. If I had a 2 foot wide by 6 foot, 2 foot square by 6 foot block of balsa wood, I could probably cut a Horner tip on a bandsaw in about 10 minutes, and then just shape it up with the sanding block and glass it, and it would be super yummy. But a solid wood tip would be very heavy, I think. And besides, I wouldn't even begin to know where to get a 2 foot square block of balsa wood that was 6 feet long. But anyways, I digress. The big thing to show tonight is I have the flap hinged, and the flap hinges riveted. You can see down in there they got their little rivets in them, and the flap hinges are bolted up to the wing for what I hope is the last time, because getting in there to bolt on the backside is difficult. My hands are big, the holes are small, you know the drill. But what I wanted to show you was the action. So I'm going to try to hold this camera in such a way, and you can see now that the flap goes up and down just super smooth. And if you look at, here we'll go out a little bit, you can look at the angle. I almost got 90 degrees of flaps at full down. I don't even know what the spec calls for. I'm sure it's not 90 degrees of flap, because that's just insane. But that's the amount of travel I could potentially have. I would imagine that it's not going to go to 90 degrees. But man, super smooth. Just really happy with it. I'm just doing this with one hand. And it actually got, what's happening here is this whole flap mechanism inside there is moving, but the torque rod, this is not. This is still freewheeling. You can see I'm rotating it back and forth, and the flaps are not moving. And the reason that is that I'm not going to drill the drive arms to the torque rod until the flap is installed, or the wing is installed on the airplane, and I can set up the appropriate angles for everything. This advice comes from the guys who have built these airplanes on the forums. So overall, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. One thing I can tell you is, if you're buying your hinge brackets and your hinges from AvaPro, they pretty much make them perfect. The only thing that I found that was a slight issue for me was they drill pilot holes for these bolts, and they drill them right at the very end of the bracketry. And inside the flap spar here is, and I don't know if we can see it from the back side, you can see that there's a doubler plate that I put in per the plans. But you'll see that the doubler plate doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the spar web. It's maybe 3/16 shy, and the same on the top. I didn't fully understand the relationship between that doubler plate and these hinge brackets. So although I did pick up the doubler plate on all 4 holes, I'm right at the edge of it, and I'm half considering putting a 3rd bolt in there, one on either side, just to make sure I got a lot of good contact area and beef. And on the other hand, I've pulled on this pretty hard, and I feel like if I was to pull on it any harder, I would start bending metal, and nothing's moved. So I don't know, I'll have to think about that as we move forward. So that's one thing. If you're going to buy your hinges and your bracketry from AvaPro, make sure you allot for the fact that they're going to pilot hole these things right at the very end of the bracket. And other than that, the quality of the part's excellent. I mean, everything lined up perfectly. But that one little gotcha, and it really wasn't a gotcha, it was just kind of more of like an aha moment for me. And the other thing is, and this is what's so impressive to me, is that the flat push rod. So in case you haven't figured it out by now, I bought the wing steel from AvaPro. I did not make the wing steel. Still consider myself a scratch builder, so I'm not going to sweat that detail. But anyways, it saved me a lot of time, and it was precision made, which is really important, especially for hinges. I mean, a lot of the stuff you can make, you're a scratch builder, and if it's off a little bit here, a 16th or whatever, or 32nd, I think is the tolerance that Bearhawk gives you. It's not a huge deal, but with hinges, if hinges are off, things don't align, and then you don't get the super smooth movement that I'm getting here. But what I did find interesting was this rod right here. They make this assembly, and I can show you that on this wing over here. You can see I've got it in there, so you can see this rod right here. And this is the push rod that works off these arms. So when this torque rod rotates, it rotates these arms, it pushes this push rod, and the flaps go down. And per internet chatter, the suggestion is to put a piece of rubber here as a bump stop, so when the springs are pulling this up to the up stop, you're not metal on metal. And so I put this piece of rubber in there, and the same thing on the wing, on the right wing that's done. And what I found really interesting is the length of that push rod, the length of this rod is absolutely precise, almost too precise, because I've got this heim joint, this rod end heim joint, I've got it run all the way down. It's bottomed out here. Can't go in any deeper. And if you look, if I pull this flap up until we hit the stop, which is right there, we're on the stop. If you look, I am pretty well lined up down there. Might be off just a skosh. Might need to go a little higher. So what I'll probably end up having to do, because the rod obviously it cannot be adjusted, it's a fixed length. I've got the rod end in all the way. Once I put my trailing edge on here, if I can't get this to go the way I want it, I'm going to have to remove that rubber in there and put a thinner walled piece of rubber to act as my stop. We'll cross those bridges when we get to them. I'm not going to lose my mind over that right now. But we're making success. We're making forward progress, rather. And the next thing to do is to put the aileron in its little hole over here. And get, you can see I got a hinge already primed up down there, ready to go. And get that thing hinged, and then close out the aileron access tunnel right there. And put the little piece of material for the wingtip on, the piece of skin, and we're done. So taking it slow, but we're getting there, and it won't be but another, I would say another, I'm probably going to underestimate this again, but I'm going to say another 5 days. So probably by next Sunday, this wing will be out of the garage, and we will start in earnest on sheeting the left wing, so I can just get these done. I tell my spousal unit it's almost like I'm when she was pregnant with our son, the last 2 weeks, all she said was, "I just want them out." And I'm kind of feeling that way in a sense. I just want these wings out of this garage so I can start working on the fuselage, the empennage, all that stuff. So there's your update. Got smooth movement. It's pretty slick. I'm super happy, and we're making forward progress. So look for an update when the aileron's done. Until then, I'll see you in the shop.